Greetings to all nurses of Adventist Hospital, Santiago City. I am honored to be with you virtually in your celebration of the International Nurses Week. I didn't hesitate to respond positively to Mabel's request to be with you in your celebration today. Because Adventist Hospital, Santiago City has a very special place in my heart. This place means so much to me. It is here in this hospital that I was molded, I was trained, and gained much experience in nursing. I learned many things not taught in the nursing school. People are very friendly. They are willing, more than willing, to help me, especially during my first few months in this place, which is very new to me. They were willing to help me learn the dialect. That's why I learned it very quickly, which is very necessary, especially as I interact with patients. International Day is a day observed around the world on May 12 of each year to mark the contributions of nurses to the society. To recall, Florence Nightingale was born in Florence, Italy on May 12, 1820. During the Crimean War, as we recall, Florence Nightingale, with her team of nurses, improved the unsanitary conditions at a British hospital, reducing the death counts of about 2/3. Her writing sparked worldwide healthcare reform. The environmental theory emphasized the utilization of the environment in the restoration of the patient's health. So according to her theory, the environmental theory, as we recall, environment has a very important part in healing the patients. It involves also the nurses' initiative to configure the environment setting appropriate to the gradual restoration of the patient's health. The World Health Organization designated the year 2020 to shine the year 2020 as an International Year of the Nurse and Midwives in honor of the 200th anniversary of the Florence Nightingale's birth. The celebration starts May 6 and ends May 12. It is a week-long celebration of the contribution of nurses and midwives to the healthcare facilities throughout the world. And it is also, as we have said, it is also the celebration of the 200-year anniversary of Nightingale's birth. We celebrate Nurses Week every year to shine a spotlight on the incredible nurses, nursing assistants, and others across the country that have devoted their lives to the betterment of the lives of others. This special time to honor the passion, the dedication, and the commitment, the advocacy you provide to your patients. So nurses, you're honored. I salute to your courage in caring for these patients. This year, more than any other year, we are indebted to the people who work so tirelessly to help patients and their families navigate through their health journeys. More than a year ago now, the world was entering a deadly pandemic, the COVID-19, and nurses ended up on the front lines of healthcare and courageously put their lives at risk. Now more than ever, nurses are recognized as heroes as they fight alongside with other fellow clinicians on the front lines of COVID-19. Annette Kennedy, the International Council of Nurses president, said that this global COVID-19 has shown the world the important role of the nurses play in keeping people healthy across the lifespan. Yes, nurses, you have chosen selflessness over self-preservation, not just today in the war against the invisible enemy, but every time you step on your scrubs, you step on your uniforms, you step on your PPEs. Thank you for choosing to serve and care for those that might be afflicted with a virus, even though the mere act of caring for them may put you and your loved ones at risk. All around the world, nurses are working tirelessly to provide the care and attention that people need, wherever they are or whenever they need it. Nurses run to the front line as the rest of us retreat into the safety of our homes. Yes, people, especially the senior citizens, were instructed to stay at home for safety. And you nurses and other clinicians ran to the danger zone, the front lines of the battle against this unseen enemy. For this, I personally, and with whom my whole heart, thank and salute you, nurses, the heroes. COVID-19 has changed our normal lives. Did you notice that? Some of the new terms we have at present are DCQ, ECQ, quarantine, stay at home, social distancing, face shields, face masks, and so on and so forth. Throughout this more than a year roller coaster of fear, anxiety, uncertainties, and harsh realities, nurses has emerged as the true heroes of this pandemic. Clinicians across the country have experienced the burdensome of emotional and physical toll of COVID-19. High patient volume, limited resources, and persistent anxiety all compounded the already difficult task of caring for the sickest, most vulnerable patients. A week is too short for me. A week is too short to celebrate and recognize your incredible work. Now, faced with the unique challenges of COVID-19, healthcare administrators centered much of its innovation in learning on clinicians' well-being, understanding that clinicians like you nurses must be cared for to deliver vital care to patients. Yes, you nurses working so hard in the front lines deserve the care from our nursing administrators. The Chief Executive Officer of International Council of Nurses added, The pandemic has exposed the weakness of our health system and the enormous pressures our nurses are working under, as well shining a light on their incredible commitment and courage. This year's International Nurses Day theme, which is a vision for future health care, a voice to lead, and the sub-theme for this year 2021 is a vision for future health care. This reflects on the impact of COVID-19 on the health system and the nursing profession, and how this might be affected in the future. So, with the present situation, we can see that in the future, what will happen to the healthcare system with the presence of this new problem. So the nurses who are involved with first-hand experience with the COVID-19 has a very great role, no, in looking into the future of our healthcare system. So they must be involved in policy making, in making guidelines, in order to have a strong and very reliable healthcare system in the future. We are still fighting, and we have learned a lot from COVID-19. Moving forward, if something like this were to come again, we'll be much more prepared. Because of our experience, we are learning what shall we do in the future when things like this will come. Now, we've been talking so much of pandemic, so much for that. When you are working so hard, courageously fighting, caring for patients suffering from this virus, the unseen enemies, you are also taking care of other patients who are also suffering from other diseases, like the lifestyle diseases, other infections, cardiovascular diseases, which also take lots of lives of patients. So with this, we see how enormous, how great is your responsibility, how great is your work, and you deserve honor. You deserve to be honored, especially on this week. Now, courageous nurses of Adventist Hospital, Santiago City, I would like to remind you that it's not by accident that you are here in this institution. I know you have a story to tell how you came to work in this Adventist hospital. I know for sure that God called you to be here for a noble purpose. Mrs. White, in her writing in Counsels on Health, page 241, states that the Lord established sanitarium or Adventist hospitals to stand as memorial of Him. By this means the truth will reach many who, but for these agencies, would never be lightened by the brightness of the gospel message. It has to show that the benevolence of heaven by the wonderful restoration taking place in our sanitarium. Many will be led to look to Christ as the healer of the soul and body. So basically, Adventist hospital sanitariums are established for a purpose, and that is to influence people, to lead people to Christ, and finally influence these people who come to this hospital, avail of its services, influence them for heaven. While Christ was here on earth, He did more healing than preaching. He made its work of healing an occasion for implanting in the heart the divine principles of His love and benevolence. Christ is no longer here in this earth in person, but He has commissioned you nurses and other healthcare workers to carry forward the medical missionary work that He began. Yes, you are the extensions of His healing hands. Remember that. Your work, your activities here inside this hospital is very sacred because you are considered, you are commissioned to be the extension of God's healing hands. Wise men and women acting the capacity of nurses are to comfort and help the sick and the suffering. When you care for your patients and they are healed, their lives may be extended 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or more. But the ultimate plan of God for His people is eternal life. So, in your plan for the patient's care every day, you should not miss the spiritual care that these patients needs. They need the holistic care from us, from you nurses. Beyond the physical healing, please consider their spiritual healing also. Yes, you need to consider the spiritual aspect beyond physical healing. This is not easy, I know. This is not easy to do with your own ability. It's not easy. You need power beyond your own, and claim His promise in Matthew 28:20. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. His assurance is He will give you power to continue the work that He began. When God calls, He enables. This is a comfort. This is an assurance that we can do the thing because God will help us. God is a God of reward. When you do what God desires you to do in His healing ministry, His ultimate reward is His commendation when He comes. Thou good and faithful servant, enter thou in the joy of the Lord. Yes, your ultimate reward is in heaven. Thank you for going above and beyond your duties to care for others. Congratulations, courageous and superheroes in the front line. Nurses, happy Nurses Week. Dear co-nurses, God bless you all.